we begin the first session, which is it's an open session. This will be an address that Dr. Chanarong will give, and then the main sort of keynote lecture will be presented by Mother Eilers. I now hand over the mic and the rest of the session to General. Please.
Okay, good morning again. Are we still alive and well?
Yes.
Thank you for the exhibition, beautiful exhibition and very informative. My task this morning is to give you some background of the history of the Asian Research Center, or in short, ARC. The brief history of the Asian Research Center for Religion and Social Communication, I think is very important that we know the history of the ARC, because history is important. It provides a shoulder on which to stand as we address future challenges. The ARC is the result of the collective effort of a group of Asian communication specialists who met in April 1999 at Assumption University in Bangkok. This group of 23 communication specialists, led by Father Dr. Franz Joseph Eilers, gathered to discuss the need to conduct in-depth communication research and unanimously made a proposal to set up the Asian Research Center to address the needs and effects of the new culture brought about by modern communications on people, cultures, and societies. Since then, the ARC has been in active partnership with St. John's University, Bangkok, which I am the Chancellor. The ARC has set a challenging agenda in the following pursuits: facilitate and support relevant research on religion and social communication in Asia through the book series and journal on religion and social communication. The journal comprises of studies, book reviews, and research abstracts that provide scholarly insights into the relation between religion, social communication, and society. It also hopes to serve as a discussion forum board. We invite contributors for the future editions. Foster interreligious dialogue and cooperation in the region, and enlarge the ARC network through strategic alliances and mutual exchanging of information with our partners, academic and research institutions, professional organizations, scholars, and interested individuals involved in these fields. During today and the next couple of days, we will continue to focus our attention on the second year on the question of if and how religious practices are influenced and possibly molded by modern communication, especially in the wake of digital technology in Asia, or in short, religions in digital Asia. May I invite you to fully share your knowledge and experiences. Don't keep them to yourselves. After all, this is a round table. I'm convinced that each and every one of us in this room are the greatest in the field. Therefore, embrace one another's passion as we discuss on relations and challenges of religion and social communication. At the end of this year's roundtable, a small group of us will stay on to meet for an internal workshop to develop a broad and professional overview about the whole field of religions in Digital Asia, which hopefully would serve as an introduction for a book publication under the same title. There is probably nothing of this kind at all as of now. So finally, may you enjoy this exciting roundtable and the hospitality of the leadership and the staff as Centurions have to offer. Thank you. And now we will have the keynote address by the ARC Director, Father Franz Joseph Eilers.
Thank you very much. Is it okay? The sound is okay?
Yeah.
Very good. So thank you very much. I'm not sure how far my remarks will be key, but it will be notes. Okay, so just take it for what it is. These are some considerations in our field which should help us also get a background also for ourselves. When we talk about our ARC and we got this title, Religion and Social Communication, we have actually basically, but not only, two dimensions. Once we look at religion in social communication, and the other one is social communication in the religion. So these were the two dimensions which are part of our field, just to clarify that. And when we come now to our concern today, we received an abstract recently for this meeting from Bangladesh. But unfortunately the people cannot come or have difficulties. The heading of this abstract was Trends of Digital Communications, Religious Harmony and Tolerance in Bangladesh. And the authors there see, after presenting rapid technical developments in the country, which leads to a Digital Bangladesh 2021, they say, traditional and spiritual foundations are standing right at the junction of two ways, promoting and strengthening tolerance through constructive interfaith dialogues, religious harmony, and just on the other side, the accidental and sudden exposure of the threat of rapid spread of intolerance via violence, sudden exposure to the threat of rapid speed of intolerance by radicalized ideologies. I think we have one here from Bangladesh. We will confirm that, so this kind of tension which is there in Bangladesh. It shows the importance of a more thorough study and awareness of the modern technologies also in that situation. So most of these developments and also respective incidents, they say, are organized through digital communication. In the opinion of the authors, they say, civil society, liberal online activists, mainstream media, religious leaders failed to countering the perpetrators using social media. So in other words, they say the social media are used for negative things and we did not do enough to develop positive things. So and I think it's a very challenging introduction also to our concerns. So it's not just academic, it goes much deeper into life. So in such a situation, our team, the Religious Digital Asia, is not just a theoretical and academic exercise, but also based on an urgent need for harmony and deeper understanding of religions, cultures, and the dignity of human life and society. For all this, we need, and that is my personal conviction, and I think most of you, we need to consider the reality of religion as an essential part of our cultures. So religion is not just a hobby. Religion is part of culture, and you should see it as part of culture. In fact, for our Asian situation, we might argue that many of, if not all cultures, or at least essential parts of them, are grounded in religions and religious convictions. Thus one might say that there is no real culture without religion. On the other hand, also religions are influenced and determined by the cultures, as today, this includes digital culture. So culture today is also definitely digital culture, so digital comes here. We come back to that a little bit later at the end. Thus, for example, the Thai culture cannot be fully understood without Buddhism. I think my companion agrees immediately on that, without Buddhism. See, and even in Chinese cultures are, despite communist pressures, still to quite an extent also determined by Confucianism and Taoism. So much so that even the government does not deny this anymore, but rather started to promote for themselves Confucian values. I had the privilege some years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, to go to, is it not strong enough? 2 or 3 years ago in China, and I came to a place, the birthplace of Confucius. And that is a pilgrimage place today and promoted by the government, which you would not expect from a communist government. So religion is part and center of the thing. In all this, we need a serious study and research for the relation between modern digital developments without neglecting analog, which is not bad or not to be discarded. Both are rather to be seen as complementary motor. This is another thing, we come back to that later a little bit, the digital and analog. We seem to neglect the analog, it's back, history, and we are digital, but that is not fully true, so we have to see this also. The field is quite broad. It needs a real academic effort and active investment into research to find the proper balance, to take up challenges, and to match technical developments with cultural and religious realities. Looking for existing academic studies in the field for Asia seems, however, to be disappointing. It does unfortunately not yield much. There are only a very few initiatives, and even a thorough Google search does not help much in our concern. And I found actually only 2 or 3 examples for Asia. First example, for this year's annual International Communication Association Conference in San Diego, in the call for papers there is a call for pre-conference May 25 this year, so coming. On the title, Digital Asia, Recent Research and Practice. And that paper states, beside under this quotation now, these new communication tools are actively utilized in more traditional political processes, but also provide individuals with an opportunity to encounter public affairs news and discourse, enhance an understanding of issues, and get involved in civic and political opportunities. So then this is called Call of Papers. It says then that one of the critical elements to be considered is the fact that in appreciating the role of new media, perhaps all underlying these processes and practices would be the reality of values, traditions, and history that define each Asian country and region. This obviously includes, of course, religion. So that is one initiative in the process. It's a pre-conference, it's not the main conference in the States. Another example I found is a periodical which is called Asiascape of Brill Publishers in Leiden, Netherlands. It started 2014 with the Digital Asia Conference under 3 sections. So these sections in the conference were: first, where is Digital Asia? Second, how should we study Digital Asia? 3, who do digital media emancipate? So, and then this publication calling for quotation, innovative transdisciplinary research, which seems to be the only one specializing in this field, this publication. The problem is, it was started in March 2014 in Philadelphia. It was supposed to be published twice a year, but I could not find any issue later. Apparently, I'm not sure, I have a feeling it came only out once, and that might have been the end already, or I don't know. I could not find any issue 2 or 3 or something like that. See? So it's really difficult to find publications and studies like that. And if you look at it, the first one and the second example, both are United States and Europe, and none of them is from Asia itself. So they talk about Asia, but not See, there is a whole group in general, communication scholars, in the States about different Asian countries. But they are there, but not much from Asia, and here definitely not. Thus now, if you take that, in our round table, in our research center, in our book series, that seems to be the only one, or one of the very, I don't know any other initiative which Mr. Saidarong just showed, existing in this field. So we therefore have foreseen to publish also our book, you mentioned that already. Now, in digital communication in general, there are a growing number of articles and publications on different perspectives. See, many publications, digital, right and left. But nothing, almost nothing on religion. See, except religion, which would need more attention concerning this whole. Beyond single publications, what I feel that this is a kind of proposal or concern I would have, the first step or one of the important steps we should make is the growing need for an overall Asian bibliography on communication, religion and culture. Up till now we have publications, but there's no bibliography, which would be for research a very important instrument, and something we might look into this as one of the initiatives. Maybe this could also be one of our concerns in our research center, and we might look into possibilities to do something. Now, if we go into that, and I want to give you 3 examples of Western studies on religion and digital. The Western countries and Western cultures, there are. And one of the main writers and scholars is Heidi Campbell. She has a seminal book, 2010, on when religion meets new media. And I would say this is one of the, I will call it the Bible, but something like that. If somebody wants to go into this field, for me this is one of the very basic books. Heidi Campbell, I met her personally once. I mean, she has other articles and so on, also edited some things, and this is her own. And so it's for me a kind of mark, you know, on the key. So, and I give you some points here. She describes religious communities as, quotation mark now, groups who share a common ideology and theology and can be identified by distinctive patterns of practice and circulating discourse which support and justify the experience on the sacred and everyday. And then after the first chapter, the introduction in the book, she presents her book in the following chapters. So just to get an overview, kind of short insight. First, history and media tradition, discovering baselines for religious approaches in new media. That could be something very essential so fast. Number 2, community value and priorities, contextualizing responses to new media. The next chapter, negotiating with new media to accept, reject, reconfigure, or to innovate. Next, considering communal discourse, framing new media appropriation. Next, studying the religious shaping of new media, the case of kosher cell phones. So here's a case study there. She actually has only 3 religions in her book and its background: Jewish, Christianity, and Islam. But Islam only as far as this is in Europe, so not Asian Islam, something like that. No? Insights from the religious, another chapter then in the book, insights from the religious social shaping of new media. So that is the book, how the book is sectioned, and you realize from these sections it's an essential book, I would say. In the course of her presentation, she sees some positive and negative patterns for a new media choice by religion. So to give you some ones, positive points, she lists this: media can be utilized for proselytizing and public proclamation of core beliefs. 2, technologies which facilitate global networking and promotions within the religious communities can solidify membership, identity, and beliefs. So you use digital media to solidify your membership, your beliefs. 3. New media for agenda setting and publicizing beliefs, especially if it is supported by a discourse. New technology is tool for highlighting core communal values. Another role. The 4th one, new media technologies are used to innovate ways to digitize, and technologies registrators or reminders to more easily integrate religious expectations into daily life. For example, the times for daily prayer of Muslims. So you use the digital media for Muslims. So in your device, you have the timings for prayer or something like that. So this is a positive points. But then you also see here's a section for negative points. So what are the negative points? To avoid technology features which allow access to secular content. So people might drift into secular. Number 2, new media might undermine established authority structures and gatekeepers, therefore forms of monitoring like filtering software. So this is something when you talk about young people, for example, or whatever, how do you do that? Negative. Then how do new media influence the identity management of the community? So how is the community reflected in social media? Then finally in 4, new media messages are fluid and transitory rather than fixed like traditional media on the text. So evangelism, that's an expression, evangelism comes with responsibility. So, and she calls in her book then for an analytic frame in the shaping of religious social technology, which should ask for, the quotation from her, the spiritual capital of the community as families of users who frame their choices on their underlying religious ideology. Then she concludes the book and says there are 4 layers for proper investigation on the history and tradition of the community in relation to media. First, identify core values and essential priorities. That's the first. What are your core values and what are your essential priorities? Number 2, base immediate interaction on these foregoing points. So you act on the points here before. Number 3, there is a need for communal discourse to frame the technology in its prescribed use, prescriptive, officializing, and evaluation discourses. So 3 different things. Number 4, authority and identity management of the respective communities are to be considered for a network of interactions in a networked religion. Network religions. Network is a buzzword today, network religion. And my question is, can this be a good example of Western research of Heidi Campbell stimulate a similar approach also for Asia in studying the role and impact of digital communication for religions in Asia? Example, are there similar common elements in Asian religions? How far are they determined by different cultures, religions, beliefs, and experiences? Are there common elements of Asianness which have a special relation to digital religion, like, for example, silence, meditation, asceticism, view of the cosmos, human relations, like, or age groups, parents, and something like that, other things. You realize it becomes a very broad field, you know. Campbell is also the editor of another book, it's just a footnote in a way. It's called Digital Religion Understanding Practice in the New Media World. She's the editor only, so there are different contributions there. And there she divides her presentation in the book under 3 headings, section headings. The first is themes, what are the themes? Second, thematic case studies, and 3, religions and studying religion and new media. For me, this is a key publication. I mentioned it last year already, and I mentioned it here once again. If somebody wants to go into this field, you cannot pass by this is basic, you know, so something like that. I mean, we could, of course, try to stimulate somebody to do something similar for Asia, under the Asian perspective. But this is Europe, and as I say, she's living in the States, but she studied in Edinburgh, and she has only it's based on 3 religions: Christianity, Jewish, and Islam, but Islam only European version, because Islam, we have different versions there. So another example, just to give you two more examples. Another example is a collection of contributions from a conference, a conference, once again, with the book has the title, Digital Religion, Social Media and Culture, Perspectives, Practices and Futures. This is based on the conference 2010 in Aarhus in Denmark. So as I told you, it's all Europe, but nothing Asia. And there are 4 publishers, 4 editors, and in the beginning, I give you only the beginning and the end of the book. The first 2 editors write the introduction. The last 2 editors write the concluding part, So it says there, first in the introduction, the book opens with an introduction by the co-editors on the title there, Religion 2.0. So we have 2.0. Relational and hybridizing pathways on religion, social media. It's the beginning and the first. And the book concludes, there are several contributions, which would be too much to mention them here. It concludes there with them, the other co-editors, with the title, the section on religion in the digital age, future developments and research directions, where they look also at quotation of some anticipated developments under the following subtitles. So they look into the future, have subtitles there, and they list the subtitles under the following headings. Digital media become increasingly mobile. Second, digital media become more personalized. New technology will provide more sophisticated environments online. Next one, the power struggle will become more complex. The commercialization of religion online will increase. Digital media will penetrate the third world. That's the conclusion there. That was 2010, so 7 years ago, or 6 years ago. They further conclude, is what they say, we must meet, and then I like that. They say, we must meet people wherever and whenever they go online. In the church and in the street, in the West and in Africa, from their computers or from their smartphones. We must watch them combine and integrate online and offline activities, observe their web searches, and watch them move from side to side. We must observe how they use and produce religious content online and ask them about their dispositions and intentions. The whole agenda. They conclude with this book. And to give you a third example, which is a little bit, but I think it would be good to have it. It's also coming from Scandinavia. Nordicom in Scandinavia is quite active in research in the last years. It's come from Sweden. It's a collection of contributions on mediatization and religion. So this addresses the religion and media. They call it mediatization. It's a concept developed there in Scandinavia especially. See Nordic perspectives in Westing, Harvard and Leuven. And the book is concerned about the relation between media and religion in the digital world and presents its different studies under the following headings. First, mediatization, public media, international church. It's related very much to the Christianity in Scandinavia, which is Protestant and Lutheran, actually, and most state religion there. So first, mediatization, public media, international church, to be followed by contributions under the heading religious identity and the changing media environment, and another one, religion, popular media culture. So social communication, this is media. So they talk about relation, media and religion. No? But even when we talk about social communication, which is more than media, it's broader than media. But still, they play an important role for us in the growing mediatization. So, and the mediatization is described, this is a kind of description of called mediatization, the influence of media and communication media organizations on the cultural transformation of modern societies. That is mediatization. So it has a relation to religion. and it's becoming more important. The book is applied here for church religious organizations in Scandinavia, but it could easily be extended, I feel, also to Asia and to Asian religions, though it might be under the broader perspective of social communication. Once media as technology should be extended, I would say not only media, but means of communication. Media is restricted. Means of communication is much broader. So I would prefer to use it means, the expression means, instead of media. No? So this includes then culture especially, and goes far beyond the one-sided technology. Communication of and in Asian regions goes much further, and definitely beyond technology and media in the narrow sense only. So not just get stuck in technology and the newspapers, go beyond. This becomes also clear when Stig Howard, who is considered as the father of mediatization, makes in the first contribution of the book a threefold distinction between religious media. He says, first religious media. So religious media, so the media from religions. The next one, journalism on religion. And the third one he calls banal religion. Banal would be popular religion, so it's not the media. So he has this threefold distinction. My comment to is, our Asian culture is probably not only limited simply to media, but the importance of these means definitely plays a role and has to be studied as well. The Asian means of communication do deserve, in my understanding, a special study in relation to religion, also under the perspective of digital developments. That would be it. So this gives you a little bit situation and research approaches. But then I want to conclude with some other things on my own. That is not just from books. See, but these are points what I hope it will have. So I cannot develop them in detail. See, cultures live from and with communication. Cultures need communication, they live on communication. They share communicative forms and contents. We have the exhibit just downstairs. It was exactly as an example. Experiences, expectations of groups of people reflecting their physical and spiritual environments. The same must be said about religions as an essential part of Asian cultures. I mentioned it already. They share convictions, experiences and insights based on revelations, life experiences, and especially desire to make sense of life experiences. Religions contribute to make sense of life. So put it there. This is not done only in teachings and revelations like the Bible or Quran, but also through communicative forms like ceremonies, rituals, similar actions like pilgrimages. I just mentioned it downstairs. So in that way, the exhibit downstairs and the concern fits exactly into this what I mentioned here. They are also reflected in architecture, for example, as well in the use of time and artistic figures of placements, visual forms and spaces. I think we make a visit of some of the temples here, and that will be a very interesting thing. And for Christianity, I do that sometimes with my students. They're all amazed, because just in the Philippines, the architecture, the church architecture especially, is from the Spanish culture, the 16th century. But then I show them 1,000 years before, or 1,000 years, or different other styles are there. They're not reflected in the culture. And they're always astonished, and they're always amazed. And they find it very interesting to do that. Other question, other point, are there special challenges or possibilities for interreligious change and dialogue and cooperation? New perspectives on religion in society, new ways of mutual understanding and possible cooperation, common concerns, ways of life, in and for the digital environment. Are there more possibilities? Another point related, does analog communication still play a role, and if yes, in what way? No? See, we talk digital, and we forget the analog. And that is very interesting. There's a recent book with the title The Revenge of Analog. That's a new published book, so just a few months out, half a year. Revenge of Analog. And I think this is a very important point. Why? Are religions from their essence both analog and digital? Or is there digital religion, whatever? No? So, both. Are there areas from which from their essence are offline or analog? See, like Christianity in sacraments. We had a research symposium at our university in Manila, and one of the contributions there was, is God online or offline? Yeah, is online or offline? And if you take religion, Christianity, for example, in Catholic, sacraments are not offline, it's online. Online. Online is analog, present, not offline. So we talk digital is offline, but there is a distinction, and probably we have to find a balance and relate them to each other, you see. So what is the difference between digital religious services and their analog expressions? Can people attend the service of the television? Is that enough? Or digital? Or do you have to be present? Is there a generation gap between young and old? And what is the role of religion in all this? It's another question. For example, we are going to have a research conference next month, and we say how to share faith. How to do that? See? And how does it? We cannot do that anymore, young people, for you cannot teach them anymore the traditional way. I am the boss, I am the teacher, and you have to follow. And you better put that into your head, otherwise you will fail. It's not impossible anymore. In our symposium last year, just to give a concrete example, we had the first presentation. One of our students is very good in that. He started his presentation on that. You know what he said? He said, I have a friend. He has a 2-year-old son. And the parents gave the 2-year-old son a tablet already. And the 3-year-old son is working with the tablet, and the parents are happy because they are not disturbed anymore because the boy is with them. And he says, if this boy is now, just the other day I met him, he said, yeah, February 10 is 3 years old. So when I met him, what does it mean? How does the disposition of a person like this in 5 years look like? And then this question of teaching also, how does it look like? You know, we have the digital natives born after 91. How do they think? Your students here, many of them are digital natives. They are different even from the millennials. So what does that mean? So also not only in teaching, but also what does that mean for religion? So for me, this is a very important question. So what does all this mean to digital natives? See, or what does a digital shift in Asian religions mean for their practice and developments in general, but also for the expressions of ways of life? Are there also special digital expression challenges which have to be taken up? Does digital religion change the life of the people and the religious practices? If yes, how and why? So these are all questions. Is there a digital mission for religions, and how does it look like? See? Is there a special digital ministry for religious leaders, like cyber missionaries? How does it work and look like? So these are my own questions. They have my own points, and realize it's a big field. We cannot settle all these things, but just to be aware. And I wanted to conclude with that. But then with the situation now of the political, I want to just give quotation. After Trump, before Trump was winning, it was of course lived in the West. And there was an editorial in the New York Times on January 12, 2017, by Thomas Friedman. And he writes under the title, "Our lives are digital, be careful." That is the title, be careful. About the digital situation after some revelations in actual political developments, Trump and Russia, and was there, something like that. No? But what struck me then when he has a description, that we might have the Charlie Mason for riches as well. When he writes, so I quote him now. It was the moment when we realized, when the digital Trump and Putin, when we realized that a critical mass of our lives and work had shifted away from the terrestrial world to a realm known as cyberspace. Something. So it's there is a critical mass of our lives, cyberspace. We don't realize what is there. That is to say, as he continues, a critical mass of our interactions had moved to a realm where we are all connected, but no one is in charge. After all, there is no stoplights in cyberspace, no police officers walking the beat, no courts, no judges, no God who smites evil and rewards good, and certainly not 1,800 call if Putin hacks your election. If this is the thing. If someone slimes you on Twitter, well, unless it is a life threat, good luck getting it removed, especially if it is done anonymously, which in cyberspace is quite common. All quotation from it. And yet this realm is where we now spend increasing hours of our day. Cyberspace is now where we do more shopping, more of dating, more of our friendship making and sustaining, more of our learning, more of our comments, more of our teaching, more of our communicating, more of our news broadcasting and news seeking, and more of our selling of goods and services and ideas. It's where both our president-elect and the leader of ISIS can communicate with equal ease with tens of millions of their respective followers through Twitter, without editors, fact-checkers, libel lawyers, or other filters. And then he says the reason for this tipping point is because so many companies, governments, universities, and I think Centurion is not excluded, political parties and individuals have concentrated the critical mass of their data in enterprise data centers or cloud computing environments. Data. It is a huge legal, moral, strategic problem, and it will require quotation a new social compact to diffuse. Work on that compact has to start with every school teaching children digital civics. And that begins with teaching them that the internet is an open source with untreated, unfiltered information, where they need to bring skepticism and critical thinking to everything they read and basic civil decency to everything they write. It is quotation. I was impressed when you realize that. That's our situation. Then my final question there is, are there from all these consequences for Asian religions, and how do they look like? And this not only in the way of teaching, but also in the dealing with each other. Can we in such a situation develop positive possibilities for worship and life? That's the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father Ailes. I believe that we all agree that his studies, his notes are very key, very important for us as we start our session for this year's Digital in Asia. I also have a friend, my 2-year-old grandson. I feel that he can manage the mobile phone even before he was born. Luckily, the parents are very, very careful.
Because the parents are his children, he has to say that.
Right. They set up a kind of what they call tablet day and no tablet days. For the 2 grandsons, only Monday and Thursday evening are their tablet days. Meaning to say, in the evening we cannot talk to them. You can talk, but they do not talk back to you because it's their tablet. But on other days, no tablet, and they obey and agree to this.
For how long?
For how long? I will let you know next time. Thank you again, Father Iris, for your studies and your notes, your key notes.